Okay, so this is take two. I was saying how blessed we have to be able to keep community through our social media and all these platforms. And I'm having a bit of trouble with my audio, but I think I finally figured it out. So, the things that I wanted to address today is just the state of affairs, the fear that is going on, the panic. We are at a place in our lives where the things that are happening we don't recognize. We find ourselves in new territory, so to speak, and we are not sure if the habits that we have developed so far will be something that will be carrying forward, or if we're going to have to change our practices, how we live, and what this really means for all of us, because nobody really has an idea, a definite idea, or an answer to what exactly or how exactly this will develop. So in the midst of all this, I just wanted to put together this video, not only for support, but to express my opinion, to be here if you guys need anything, to send any questions my way, and to providing a little bit of a healing meditation towards the end of this, so that we can be in a calm space and we can ask some questions and hopefully receive some answers. So it is great to be here with you today in this form of community as we are practicing social distancing, as we call it. And I'm glad to be able to figure this out and make it happen. All right, so dealing with the fear is really a question of where we stand. Fear is an emotion that moves through all of us. We have this opportunity to understand what is happening inside ourselves, to address our shadows that are coming up. And as much as I thought that 2020 was going to be a great year, not to say that it's not, it's a great year, but it is a year that I thought that we can go ahead and get lost in our anxiety and our panic, but that really doesn't help us at all. We don't get anything out of it. So positivity is a huge, huge part of what we can do right now. And redirecting is another thing. Redirecting our thoughts, that is. We have over 75,000 thoughts in a day, is what scientists tell us. And through those thoughts, we affect certain changes in our body. So when you have a thought that produces an emotion, a feeling, the feeling produces chemical substances in our body. And then from there on, we can either feel good or feel bad, right? For example, when we're stressed, we start producing a lot more cortisol. Cortisol takes over our body, so our feel-good hormones don't necessarily have as much of an impact, or they're put in the background, or cortisol takes over those places where the other hormones could land. And so what happens is we find ourselves in a state of exhaustion, of flight or fight, or even freeze, for that matter. Some of us will find ourselves in the situations of freeze, of not really knowing what to do about what is going on out in the world. And as we can see, this doesn't only happen in our own backyard, but it is spread across our beautiful earth right now. So what is it that we can do about this going on? If we had certain genetic predispositions to express choice of whether we're going to bring, probably listening, you're saying, well, how do we do that in the midst of everything that is going on? Well, our thoughts are so powerful that if we go within and we have some quiet time every day and we center ourselves and we get some good full breathing into our body and we focus on the things that we have control over and the things that we can change, and do some inner work and search and see what is going on. How does this show up for us? And why is it here for us particularly? Because even though there's a bigger message of a virus spreading here, there is this quiet time as we practice meditation and yoga, and we begin to choose our thoughts. When we do that and we say, I love this versus I hate this, we change the entire energy of how our body reacts to that. I love this creates a feeling of well-being. I hate this creates a feeling of not well-being, of stress, right? So we can control the chemicals that are released into our body in a big way, so to speak. And from then on, we also control our immune system. When we are under stress constantly, and this is what I call the cortisol IV drip throughout the day, because we're constantly running from one thing to the next. We have a lot of things to do. There's pressure at work. Well, now there's pressure of staying home, whether we want to or not. A lot of us are faced with uncertainty. We might not be sure what's going on and how long this is going to take. All of that stuff that brings in more cortisol into the body lowers our immune system and the capacity of our immunity to react favorably to outside situations. So this is what epigenetics is about, is take a moment to notice your environment, what is going on, and as much as you can, not only be neutral to it, but think of a positive way of looking at it. There's always two sides to a coin, and it is our choice which side we are going to pick. So this is an important thing, and something that might help with that, first of all, would be to limit your exposure to the news. I don't believe I've ever seen the news change much between the morning and the night. So pick a time during the day that you want to watch it if you have to watch it, and to stay informed. And don't expose yourself to that being in your immediate background continuously, because that's only going to create stress and uncertainty, right? Another thing to do is just to watch good-natured movies, comedies, perhaps things that make us smile, that make us laugh, because that brings up our immunity. To have joy in our heart and to be overwhelmed with those better emotions is a great way to be in that staying more healthy space, right? The other thing is eat fresh. Try to eat as healthy as possible during this time, to support your physical body with the nutrients that it needs in order to overcome the overwhelm of information and emotion that is coming up for us, right? So whether that means a little bit more fruit for you or fresher foods, try to avoid fast foods or things that are heavy, that are fried, which the healthy foods are. Just try to stay within that, and get yourself in a physical place where it's a little bit stronger, including exercise. I know my gym has closed down for 30 days, so I've decided to just do my yoga in-house like I used to do all these years until I decided to join a gym again. But everything we could do outside, we can find an equivalent to do within our home now that this is going on. So this is for you, and specifically you and only you. It's to honor yourself, to not only honor your physical body, but to honor your emotions, to honor your mental capacity of how you're processing this, and keeping that frontal lobe with clarity. The more you can stay centered, the better decisions you're going to make, the more clarity you're going to have. So all of this is very important as we move through this. Another thing is sleep. Sleep is paramount to the body. And when we're stressed, we find ourselves having not so rhythmic ways of sleep, right? We find ourselves maybe waking up several times during the night. We find ourselves perhaps worrying and not being able to go to sleep, which is another thing. And so when the body goes to sleep, this is the time that it has to rejuvenate itself. It is the time that the nervous system relaxes, our brain waves change, and we're receptive to growth and to things that we're exposed to. So what you think about before you go to sleep is going to be very important in what state your brain will be for the next 5, 6, 8 hours. So if you can, instead of focusing on worry, again, redirect your thoughts and try to find something that you would like to focus on. A better day, whatever that means for you, better health, a strong body, united family, everything going smoothly, anything positive that you can latch onto that thought and fall asleep with that in mind. Then for the rest few hours that you're asleep, your mind can focus on that. Your body can wake up rejuvenated, your nervous system calm, and you can face the day with, full battery, so to speak, right? We want to build resilience, and we can only build resilience by taking care of ourselves. Self care right now is super important. Breathing is important right now. Nice, full breaths are important for your health. This is how the body brings in a lot of its energy and its oxygen in order to deal with whatever is going on, the stress part of it. So, relaxation. Crazy times, we're staying at home, and a lot of us might find that we are bored or have nothing to do. What a perfect time for relaxation. If you never had time for a quiet time or meditation before, this is your chance. You don't know how long this is going to last. Why don't you add this to your practice? And if it's already in your practice, perhaps make it a little bit longer. This is another way of strengthening ourselves, of being present, of listening to messages that are coming our way, that's coming our way. One of the powerful, just powerful, because we are so habitual about always being busy and running around that we rarely take the time to listen to the signs of our heart, to the messages that are coming through, and to our body. The only way that our body has to communicate with us is through discomfort, disease, pain, any of those, right? It's basically trying to catch our attention and say, hey, I'm not feeling well. Can you adjust? Can you redirect? Can you do something different? Whatever you're doing right now is not working. So let's take time to listen to those messages, because when we just simply take a pain pill, now granted, often the pain is incredibly overbearing and we can't deal with it. But for the little things and for things that we have the power, everybody's different and has different strength, right? Um, let's avoid for a few taking that pill that numbs the pain, and instead listen to the pain, connect with it. Ask questions of your body. What are you trying to tell me? What is going on? Because when you're in that quiet space, you will hear the communication. That is super important. So again, another part of honoring your body and who you are and what is things that might have been put away for a while, things from our childhood, things that we weren't willing to deal with before that have become this big blocks in our lives and are stopping us from moving forward into how we want to be and what we want to do. Which brings me to the next subject here. This is also a time to take a moment and look at our lives and notice what works for us, what doesn't work. Is there whatever it was? Is it possible now to sit and think about it and maybe shift some things around that you always wanted to? We have the possibility of going within more and more right now, and possibly for at least a couple of weeks, if not more. This is a great time for that self-care, listening, looking back to the things that you've always wanted to do. Are they possible now? What can you change? What is present within yourself, your family unit, your job that is not working for you? And how can you shift it? What changes can you make that are supportive for you? This is a great opportunity to do that. There is really only now. If you think about it, what's past is past. The future is not here yet. And when the future comes, it will be now. So now is the only time that you have to take care of things. So this is a great opportunity that is showing up. Even though it shows up as chaos, I think we're being called to make the bigger decisions and to move as much as possible with grace, and sometimes stumbling through, but finding our way as things are developing. So it is a huge adjustment for most of us. For those of you that are not used to being home, fortunately for me, my business has been remote and online for many years. So I am so grateful to still be able to offer my services as far as energy medicine and coaching. And I will continue to also offer some free events like meditation and visualizations for those of you who want to join me and be in that better space. But it is a time to just check in with our priorities. What is most important for you right now? What can you let it just kind of fall aside? And what should you bring in the foreground that you could be making more progress on that has been waiting for a while, right? Um, let's see. Being aware of that inner fear is also going to be huge at this time. This is the only way that we can move through it is to be conscious of the emotion. It is here. It is happening. What is it trying to tell me? Grounding is going to be important as well. If you don't know about grounding, there's a couple of videos on my website that talk extensively about it, and I have some visualizations on there as well that you can do to stay grounded. But essentially, what we bring in, we want to let out. We want to be in the flow. We want to have our body be in that state of receiving and releasing constantly. Otherwise, we're like a glass of water that's constantly filling up, and at some point it will overflow. Unless we put a little hole in the bottom at the base of the glass and we let that pressure kind of release itself and trickling a little bit of that water out until we find balance. Our body is the same way. It needs balance. Balance means emotions being addressed, um, good, what is it? Good food, good quiet time in every state, the emotional, the mental, the physical, everything you can think of, any way that you can think of bringing balance to your body is super important right now, especially when we're being threatened with a virus. But a virus only vibrates at a certain frequency. If we bring ourselves much higher than that frequency and stay in that frequency, we have a better chance of staying healthy. Is it a long breath, a short breath? Notice the temperature, warm, cold in between. Is it easy to bring the breath in, or do you find resistance? And I invite you to bring now your next inhale deep into the center of the heart. However that looks for you, however it works, there's no way to do it. Just breathe into the center of the heart and then exhale from that same space. Perhaps taking a little bit longer and fuller breaths than usual. But without over-breathing, just staying within a rhythm. And feel each breath that comes in as it relaxes that space in your heart. And as you exhale, you feel gentle warmth and relaxation moving with the breath through the body, touching upon every organ, coursing through all your systems, letting it move through and into any areas of discomfort, any areas of pain. Like a warm wave, feel the breath moving all throughout the body, rippling out from the center of the heart. Breathing into the heart and out of the heart. Every breath becoming more rhythmic, finding your own rhythm within these breaths, settling into it, whatever works for you. Perhaps a count of 3 in as you inhale, and a count of 5 works for you. Perhaps a count of 3 in as you inhale, and a count of 5 as you exhale. Quietly settle into it, breathing into the heart and out of the heart. And with your next breath, I invite you to focus on a moment of gratitude. And as you take in the next inhale, breathe in that gratitude. Bring it deep into the center of the heart. And as you exhale, feel that gratitude pulsating out, touching every cell and every fiber of your being. Enjoy each new breath as it comes in, filled with gratitude, life force, rejuvenation. And as you exhale, let all of that move, filling it up from the inside out. Every cell breathing in that breath, refilling itself, restoring itself from its center. We have trillions of cells in our body. With each breath, gratitude goes into every one of those cells.